Hey, how you doing? This is Rob Cagnetta from Heritage Restoration. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to replace a clapboard. Here we have a 1908 house. We're stripping the paint off of it, and it's that square edge clap, vertical grain, spruce or pine, eastern white pine. And what they did at one point was put in blown in insulation, probably sometime in the 80s. And we can see evidence of it by how often they broke through to get the clapboards in order to get their fill. This more than likely was not a Dens pack insulation, but this was just your typical blown in of the period. So I've X'd off the claps that have had issues by it splitting, not only here, but you can see right up in there too, so they broke it off, and we'll get inside there and take a look. You can also see that it was taken off at one time by the fact you have the original nail holes here, and then you have some new finish nails there and there. This is just, who knows why they did that, probably to stay away from that joint, but they still broke it going up to this mitered 22.5 angle here. So the way we're going to take off the clapboard is using the gentlest of methods, but still you have to sort of beat out or pry out the nails. So we're going to use this flat bar. Now this is flatter than your average flat bar, but this flat bar won't do as much as, let's say, some of the thicker ones, but it's thin enough to go behind trim, a hammer, and then finally we're going to use the multi-master tool with a metal blade. So what you want to do is try to pry up this upper clap up here. I'm a little afraid of this corner in busting out that seam, but I don't care about these pieces, so I can start with these. So we're not demoing, we're deconstructing. So I can maintain that joint, and I can still even replicate that if I feel that this joint was good enough. Now, actually, what's crazy is somebody stuck in this little wedge because they didn't have caulk years ago. So they stuck in that little wedge in order to cover the fact that they screwed up their miter. So you can see there's a nail right here as well. But now, we don't want to break this one. And this is the key to removing clapboards, is not breaking the one above it. So what we want to do is just gently go in here, very lightly, and sort of pry it up. Get this nail to release. That's right here. You can see the nail is just starting to pop out. You just want to create a little space in there. All right. Go all the way across. Create a little space. And here, we don't have to worry about that paint joint. Let's just take it a little bit right there, and I don't want to break on that corner. So I got space, okay? And what's cool about this is now I can get in there with this tool and cut these nails. Years ago, we had to try to pop that nail out, so we made a scar in the wood, or we try to drive the nail in. Now we can just cut it. It's a beautiful thing. So. This bugger out. you want to be careful because you don't want to lose that clap. See, I lost it. So there's still a piece up in there that we're going to have to get out. But this is where we're going to have to be careful because the nail technically is still behind that upper piece. You want to go back there and cut it again behind the one you're taking out. There you go. We got the whole piece out. So we can do a lot of things with this piece. This piece can tell us our relative length for it. And also where the nails are located. So that's how you take it out. So now we're going to measure the piece. And I'm going to use this first piece that we cut off, which is the lower part of the clap. I'm also going to use my bevel gauge as well as a folding rule. Because I feel like the folding rule is just more accurate. So what I'm going to do first is sort of establish the plane where the clapboard is going to go on, right? And that's basically my paint line. If I want, I can kind of measure down from the upper one. We've got 3 7/8, 3 7/8, 3 7/8, 3 7/8-ish, okay. So then I'm going to come in, this is a pretty critical angle. So I'm going to use the other clap that I have on here and just check to see my vertical. And that's it right there. So then I'm going to transfer that down to my clap below. Then I'm going to measure it with my folding rule, butting up to where it's going to start on the casing and coming over to my long point, which is going to be 24 3/8, or 24 1/4. Remember that for me, will you? Because I can't remember anything. Okay, so continuing on with our clap, I'm going to grab my notes here. What we did is we figured out that our corner miter is actually 67.5. Because it's half of a 135 degree corner. And then our vertical cut is 87 degrees. So we're going to transfer that to our vertical cut first. All right, we got our vertical cut marked. We're going to measure over our 24 3/8. I wrote it down. 24 3/8. And then we're going to mark it vertically. Okay, so that's my vertical back cut. And then we're going to transfer over the miter. And I could do all this on a chop box. I could, totally on a sliding cut, but I got time. So I'm gonna do it by hand. Yeah. Well, let's hope I don't embarrass myself. I haven't been known to do that many going to flatten it out. Because I like to cheat. Not bad for government work, right? We got the angle. Let's see how it fits. Okay, so we're going to see how it fits. But I want to start off by just, if you can look at the joints, right? If you look at them going all the way up, let's see if I can get it up there. You can see that there's some of them open. That one's open. And you get to this one and they figured it out. So the one I'm trying to match, they were a little off. But since we both suck a little bit, all I have to do is fit it a hair. I can see the joint isn't terrible. Not terrible, but a little too open. So I can shave that a little bit. So let's shave it a hair and see how it goes. So what I did is I shaved the bevel down a little bit, and I used a combination of some trusty tools. First one was just sandpaper wrapped around a piece of wood that gives me a nice flat edge, and the other is my sort of sharp block plane. Those two are the ones that are going to really make it fit. I also want to hit the back with a little bit of my polymerized tung oil from Southern Wales, and then I'm going to pre-drill using my trusty push drill, and then nail it all in with stainless steel siding ends. So here we have the piece all nailed in, and what we did is we put some 15-pound felt behind, made sure it had a good lap over it, and then we measured the exposure for both the top and bottom and made sure it was even. We set our stainless steel nails in so we can fill them, and we back sealed it and edge sealed it, and then sort of feathered our corners in to get them a bit flatter than when they were. So that is an installed